Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. To and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. I have to tell you, shout out again to Shah for checking in on me. I really do appreciate that. And today's the day I'm going to work about, I'm going to work 10 hours from the beginning to the end of the shift, roughly. 8 hours total because there's only a 2 hour break in there. And I wouldn't even say that that's a break because I still have to mark paper. So it's more like about 40 minutes to eat and then brush my teeth and then go back to work. I like the job though for the most part. While I'm working at times, I still try to listen. I still play YouTube. Sometimes I just play nature sounds, but other times I play content people put out. And I pay as much attention. I pay as much attention as I could possibly pay, while still being very careful to mark my students' work fairly. Now, I don't allow it to distract me from that because that's the job. Look, there is a lady who has a YouTube channel called MyNonLeatherLife, and a YouTuber named Mindful Seduction found her video 6 years later and began to play it. And in this video, she says that there's this raw, attractive power that actually men in general have. Just about all men. And she confesses that this is the case. Now, here's the kicker with this confession. She says, yeah, I've turned down a lot of men for various reasons, but there's still the power they have. They just don't necessarily know that they've got it. They don't know where it is that this is that power, how to turn it on. But I've actually had some guys and she said she has a male friend that got upset with her about something, and that turned her on. But of course, she wasn't going to tell him. I want you all to understand, and I don't hate this woman, but I still want you all to understand why that is still bimbo babble. Some of you will call it bitch babble, but it's damn sure bimbo babble and it's ditzy, and here's the reason for it. Women will refuse to have a brain and to use their brain for a man's benefit. And they're doing this in the West, we already know, and it's increasing in other places. So they will refuse to do this. They get around a guy and say, oh, you know what? I'm turning my brain off. And it'll be a man they don't even want. Somebody they friend zone, they still turn their brain off. It's almost as if they just don't want to use their brain. And yet and still, they'll turn around and they'll use their brain to manipulate men. So while they wouldn't use their brain for your benefit, they would use their brain to manipulate you. And part of the manipulation involves deception. And this woman even sat up and said, I have not told men this. I wasn't going to tell this guy this. And I pretty much was like, well, you're just going to have to figure it out, because if I tell you that I'm vulnerable, I'm weak, and I can be manipulated. When they confess and when they become honest, they still have a way to put it back on you in their minds, and they don't even have to really be conscious of that. But they're going to do it. That's good women. That's women that don't necessarily mean harm. There's still that element of secrecy, and then they come out and they start to confess, and they still find ways to put it back on you. Now, I'm not going to talk to you all much here about Saadia Khan. You're going to have to go to the Jet Black Air Lounge for that. But I'm going to tell you all that Saadia Khan did this. And this is why it was that men who are red pill aware and really think about this began to distrust her before they found out about her being a side chick. And whether it's true that she's a side chick or it's some other lady's voice that you hear talking about how she'll duck another woman's fiance's sick, even on the wedding, and there's nothing she could do about it, it really is immaterial. to a certain extent. I mean, it does matter if that actually is Saadia Khan, that is the side chick, and said this to this lady's fiance, said this to this lady that is engaged to the same man whose sick the voice was bragging about ducking. But Saadia Khan has presented herself as a serious practicing Muslim, but she went from you gotta pay $8,000 an hour to consult with her to trying to call somebody for free because he said, wait a minute, this is a waist filter on this video. And Andrew Tate tweeted something about this, and it said, a BJ too. Gawk gawk. Yeah. Tate said something like that, deleted it, but somebody already talked about it in the video. So the issue is that you still have this element of deception, and that is not something that I think. First, there's mystery. Mystery is bad enough. The reason why I jumped down Western women's throat about the mystery is because they have the same mystery as traditional women, but they turn around and blame you for not figuring out the mystery. In some of these traditional societies, if the women are mysterious, they still don't blame the men for not figuring it out. If they do, they fuck the shuck up and don't do it in public. In the West, they will blame you because you don't figure it out. They know they're mysterious. If you figured them out, they would change, but they still blame you for not knowing. He doesn't know. He doesn't understand. Of course, he doesn't know and doesn't understand. You're never going to tell the truth. That's why people keep saying about, and they're talking about Western women, you don't ask a fish how to catch fish, you ask a fisherman. This is said in the West, largely with respect to Western women, and the reason that this has become a new proverb in the West regarding Western women is because they are the fish that don't even want to describe what bait could possibly be effective because they are still viewing being with you as something against their own interest, even though it's not. Then when they run out of that, which is interesting to you, when they run out of their own bait, they start saying they need a man, and the reach back comes back as only it being about the labor you're going to do. It's still only the labor. You don't have any value outside of you go and bust your ass and do labor. Even Claudia Jordan couldn't hide it. She said she needed a well-off man with poor health to come in and take these things off of her. And then, with the poor health, so he could pass away and then leave her everything. What she needs is a man with something to come in. Something, not a lot of money and poor health, but just something to come in and then see what she will give in exchange for what it is that she wants. Find out she won't do it, then he goes to the Dominican Republic, gets a divorce, goes back to the States, and then tells her to fit the guck up out the house. And then when that's done, and she says, well, why? And he says, because we're not a couple anymore. And then when she files and takes him to court and wants to divide everything up, then he pulls the divorce record from the Dominican Republic with its translation into English as well and says, we're already divorced. She never wanted me. That's how Tyson divorced Robin Givens. Oh, by the way, Tyson also thought he was a dad to a son that wasn't his. Yeah, Mike Tyson. My Non-Leather Life is one example of this. And this is why I keep saying to you guys, don't make the first move in the first further mucking place. If she's Western and she doesn't come for you and she's not transparent, she does not deserve, forget want, she doesn't deserve you if she does want you, because she can't be honest about it. To find out that a woman is sitting up here and saying that you got this attractive power, but when and they don't like you, but they know you have the power to change that, and then they hide that right there. They hide the fact that they hide your own potential from you. That just tells you that they're on a crusade just to make you stay by yourself your whole life, even against their own interest. That doesn't even serve their interest completely, but they just want you to not get your own benefit out of it. The isolation bothers them. The lack of attention bothers them. You get used to it. They don't get used to it, but they still want to make it difficult just so that you are by yourself. It can't get no worse. All she's really saying is, if they like you, or they can see how close you are to them liking you, they would lie to you about it and mislead you. She then goes on and gives advice, and she's not doing this with malice, but she goes on and talks about this nice guy on some sort of dating show who didn't have enough F-boy energy and edge, and she puts it on him. No. Dude said his own mom and sisters trained him. Be respectful. Respect the boundaries. And she's saying he didn't escalate sexually enough early enough. Of course he didn't. He wasn't trained to. He was trained to not do it. And then we're in an environment in which that's damn near illegal, even when it's not. My non-leather life. Like Saadia Khan, the Khan, has failed to tell one of the fundamental truths about all the dynamics between men and women, whether it is in the West or in traditional societies. But is it in the West for which the innocent party is blamed? And that is the damn mystery. Nope. Lay it out on the table, ma'am. So these men, 85% of whom you find unattractive, actually have the potential to not be so unattractive to you. And you can see it, and you are intentionally hiding it from them. And now you're sitting up and admitting that this is the case, and yet you still say to the men that they should know to do this, that, and the other. When the fact remains that if the men did know and they did it, then the women would say, oh, but he already knew, so never mind. These ladies are looking and waiting. They are literally looking and waiting for you to be the one they like without knowing how to do it. That's literally what they're waiting on. While they train you, even when you are their son and their brother, deceptively to not be that guy. They're waiting on you to just be who they want anyway, not only without being told how, but after being told how not to, as if it's how. Now, you're going to have to go into the Jet Black Air Lounge and see what I said about Saadia Khan, the Khan, to find out what it is that men can do to combat that, and what we should have been doing a while back. But I want you all to pay attention a little bit. Maybe you can listen to just 2 videos of my non-leather life. I think she stopped making anything new about a year, somewhere between a year and 3 years ago. But you can hear just some of that, and you will hear that without malice, she still has that mindset. And this is why it is that when the only valuable thing that Western women can teach you is a confession in which they don't put accountability on the men. I told you we don't take accountability, and there's a reason for that. I mean, we take accountability for being too damn easy, but everything else for which we could take accountability is a subset of that. Now you see why I say that. There's nothing valuable that they can tell you that does not involve a confession on their part and no accountability on yours. But if you want to know what to do about it, go ahead and subscribe to the Jet Black Air Lounge, and you're going to have to get into the first class tier to hear that. I'm not going to make that available, not even for the business class. That one's going to be first class only. As always, thank you for listening. Black Heart, Black Hunt, Black Out. Assalamu alaikum, and Black heterosexual non-select male power because they don't like it, and Black patriarchy until extinction of Judgment Day. And again, thank you for flying with us again here on Jet Black Air, where the phrase jet black is also a verb. Keep jetting black with us till the wings and the wheels fall off. Gender justice forever.